Hey everybody, Z Garcia here, and today I'm taking a look at the expansion to Life in Reterra. This is Life in Reterra Moonrise expansion. This is going to include new buildings you can throw into Life in Reterra. It's going to include these new sideboards where moon tiles will collect and then be divvied out to the player who wins a little category race. And of course includes those new tiles that you mix into the previous tiles. And as they come up, you set them on this sideboard. That's the idea. So it's two things, really. It's more of the same when it comes to the buildings and that sort of thing. And you can just choose to do that, or you can throw in this module with the moon tiles and play with a little extra something on top of the original game. Let me show you what comes in here a little more closely, and we'll come on back after that. I'll tell you what I think of it. In the expansion, you are going to get 10 more junk/relic tokens. I'm going to move them out, and you're going to get 16 more inhabitants that you'll mix with the other ones. And again, I'll move those out. You are also going to get 2 new trays with several buildings in each. Again, double-sided, just like in the original game. And these are exactly the same layout. You're going to have 5 new buildings in here that are double-sided. And you are going to have this tray is really just more of the same. You're going to have more buildings with new abilities and what have you. And this one largely focuses on the moons that are part of the name of the expansion. So they're going to tell you, they'll show you on the one side, if they have this gray background and that symbol, that means that the power of that building is going to have something to do with the new moon gameplay. And you'll see these 2 on that side and these 2 on this side, okay? So we're going to come back to that a little bit later on. You're also going to get 30 moon tiles that get shuffled into the stack of tiles, and 3 boards here that are the same at the bottom, but they have a different ability at the top. So you're going to pick one of those. We have the Prosperous Moons here that cares about inhabitants. We have the Enlightened Moons that cares about relics. And then we have this one that cares about buildings, okay? And so you would leave one of those, or randomly pick one, and set it into play, shuffle up these, do the rest of the preparation, putting out the buildings, putting out the cards here, having a flop of 5 tiles, what have you. Any moons that come up in players' opening hands, or that first flop of 5 tiles, we remove those moons from the game. And then you are ready to begin. The gameplay is largely the same. The main difference with this module is that every time you reveal a moon tile, you place it here. And once this is filled up to the number of players playing at the game, then all tiles are going to go to the player that, as it says up here, in this case happens to have the most buildings. And then these moon tiles will be worth a point apiece at the end of the game. What are those moon tiles? They're right in here, and they look like that, okay? So as these come up, you put them there, you draw again to replenish. You keep going. If you are playing with 4 people, then when this fills up, whoever has the most buildings is going to take all 4 of these tiles and keep them. If there's a tie, they go away, and that's basically it. So they might go to different people based on who's got the most buildings throughout the game. This board will never change within the same game. You set one up for the entirety of that play. And that's pretty much the way this is going to work out. I'll show you some of the buildings. I do want to take a moment, though, to point out one of the unfortunate things about this expansion is these tiles. I'm going to show you these 4 and see if you can figure out which is the one that is a moon tile among them. It's pretty obvious if any light catches these tiles that they are printed on a very different finish. Obviously, this one being the really different sort of faux linen finish, and that is indeed the moon, with these 3 tiles being the normal ones. So they stand out. I almost wish there was a bag to pull them from, so to avoid that, but I suppose you could provide your own bag or just mix these up and try not to look too much, okay? As far as the buildings go, there's some really neat stuff in here. So you're going to have, generally, these are checking for a lot of the same things, but they're going to, of course, you're now looking to maybe have a lot of buildings or a lot of inhabitants or what have you. So these are going to dictate a little more what you're going for. So this one, for example, worth 3 additional points if you have at least 7 inhabitants in your community. If this building's in play and the Moon's board cares about inhabitants, you're going to want to jump on this because you'll be doing both of those things likely anyway, okay? Each terrain segment's worth an additional 3 points instead of just, the group of 7. Instead of being worth what it is, you get +3. Worth 2 additional points if you have at least 4 connected water spaces in your community, which is pretty easy if you get the, the power source. A train station, every time you place an inhabitant or a gear, you may place another one on the same space. Another good one for doubling up with them. Every time you place an inhabitant, place a relic token on an empty space next to that inhabitant. And then on the back, you've got some other abilities here, sometimes a little meaner, like at the end of your turn, place a relic token on this building and a junk token on a neighbor's building, which does not have junk on it yet. I'm assuming there's no limit as to how many things you can put on that building. I imagine not, or they would have pointed that out. So there you go. Now the Moon ones I find to be the more interesting one because they actually tie to this, whereas you could play these buildings without caring if this module is in play or not. Several of these, you have to play with this module. So let's take a look at that, okay? Let's flip these over until it matches the moon size. So this one, for example, is worth 2 additional points if you have more moon tiles than both of your neighbors. Okay, pretty interesting. This one is when a lunar event is triggered, you may place 1 junk token on all other players' communities. Okay. This one doesn't have one, actually, the apiary. So, that's fine. This one, when built, take a moon tile from the lunar event board. I really like this because you're going to drain a tile out of here and slow down that pace just to mess with the cadence of that a little bit. And then the planetarium, your moon tiles are worth 3 points each instead of 1. This is a really hard to build one. It's going to go out here, but it is tremendously powerful. Now, it's possible if you're doing a lot of this. You're not doing a lot of this, but, therein lies the rub. So there you go. That is generally what is going on in the expansion. Let's go ahead and go back up top. I will say I think I am of 2 minds when it comes to this expansion. I like the idea of there being extra buildings. That's cool. The original had quite a few, but I'm not going to complain about there being more variety, more choices. I like that. I like the idea of a new module on the side that is, implementing a new mini race, cyclical sort of races to getting extra points. I'm not sure I love the way this works out. In my plays, anyway, it has not come to fruition in a very satisfactory way. The board with low player counts, I found that it's incredibly fast. The cycles are super short. It fills up and goes to someone so frequently, and if anybody gets ahead and commands a lead in that, then it feels deflating, I think is the way I found it. Whereas in a 4-player game, even if I'm not in the race for that thing, I'm doing so many other things, and those cycles are a little bit longer. It feels that way anyway, and so it's not as bothersome. There's also, in a 4-player game, I experienced more ties, and if there is a tie for that thing, most of whatever, buildings, inhabitants, whatever, then the tiles go away, and I like that. I like that if 2 people are fighting over, whatever the category is, and they do tie, then no one gets those 4 points. That's a nice way to do that. But overall, I just sort of experienced too many ties. It's something that if one person goes for, somebody else has to, because you can't really let somebody get away with that. And then the categories are kind of funky because buildings tended to create a lot of ties in my experience. And then inhabitants, it's very easy for somebody to give up on buildings and just spam their board with inhabitants. And again, if one person's doing it, then somebody else better do it because it's probably too good and they're getting a lot of points. This is all just the way it feels. Is that thing? I'm not debating whether it's balanced. I have no idea if it's balanced. I'm debating whether it feels satisfactory. And to me, it was, I'd throw it in, but it's not something I'm going to play with all the time. I do like, if I am going to do it, I will be including one of the buildings that cares about the moons. Because I think without, it feels disjointed and disconnected from that. And the biggest issue of all that I have with this is that the tiles just don't match. There's a serious mismatch between an original tile and a reprint, moon tile here, to the point that I eventually started just drawing from the bottom to replenish because I can't see the thing coming up. It's so easy to tell that it's coming up. I suppose I could also implement a bag, but I feel like they might really get beat up in there, the tiles. So I think my fix is make a big stack, draw from the bottom, and replenish that way. That's kind of the way to go. So for me, this is an expansion that is also, if you are someone who got this game at Target, where a lot of people got it, where I got my copy, then, if a lot of the people who are playing this game are not aware of expansions being a thing at all, probably, and probably don't need more stuff or more complications because the people they are playing this with, familiarity and comfort with a board game is speaks volumes to how much that board game is going to hit the table. So again, I'm a little bit of two minds. I like the expansion all right. I like it for, I would play the Moon sideboard maybe 50% of the time. It's not an auto-include for me. But I love having the extra buildings. I like having more variety. That's cool. That's fun. I like that. The rest of the buildings I would mess around with all the time. I like the ideas that this brings to the table, and I'm going to give this one a recommend for anyone who is playing a lot of Life in Reterra and wants to mix it up a little bit. I'm just not sure how many people that is, and if it's going to bring you something you're hoping it will, Yes, it's a new kind of thing to concern yourself with that's maybe going to net you some points, and maybe it'll really speak to you. Maybe you'll kind of go into that. But it is very, in a way, a little ham-fisted. It's in play and says, somebody better focus on this, or you're just giving up passive points for something you'd be doing anyway, right? Take buildings. Take as many as possible. Well, I'm doing that anyway in the game, pretty much. So this is a little ham-fisted. You better outpace other people also while you're at it. The other two boards for relics and for inhabitants, I find a little more logical. I'm not doing that. It's not the main driving point. Buildings are, that's fantastic. I'm doing that. Going for relics makes you maybe think about which tile you're drafting a little more differently. So I like those two boards a little better, a little more interesting to me. All of that to say, I like this. I recommend it. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I like it. I think it's good. I'm just not sure how many people I would say, blanket statement, if you have Life in Reterra, you should pick up the Moonrise expansion. If you're playing a lot, I still wouldn't necessarily say that because it depends who you're playing with. If those people are incredibly comfortable playing Life in Reterra the way it is, don't mess with it. They're enjoying their game. This constant search for evolution is not a necessity in board games. If everybody's happy playing Life in Reterra, they love the familiarity, they love the exploration with the buildings that exist. Yeah, there might be value in more buildings, but there might not be. They might push them back out of a comfort zone that they have found, okay? For me, I love this search for new stuff, but that's me, Not everybody's like that. So there you go. This one's a recommend, but I'm asking of you a little bit more thought and input as to who you play the game with, I guess. All right? So there you go. This is neat. Not all of it is a slam dunk, but there's enough in here that I enjoyed that I'm going to say, yeah, it's a good expansion. They did a good job. The one big thing is just those tiles. They just do not match. There's ways around that, like I said, but it's not ideal. So there you go. That is the Moonrise expansion to Life in Reterra, and that's going to do it for me, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in and checking this out. My name is Z Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vassell. Thanks for watching this video. Check out our channel. We have a lot of videos on our channel. We have live videos that go up each week, from live Q&As to videos where we take a look at the newest stuff on Kickstarter, crowdsurfing, to top 10 lists and more. There's lots of stuff on this channel. We encourage you to explore it. You can find out more at our website, dicetower.com. I'm Tom Vassell. Thanks for watching another video on the Dice Tower.